All right, welcome to Tonal Distancing. Today we're talking about Bhloom's. Bhloom has another song coming out soon. I think he just finished the master, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
What is the song called?
It's called Slippy Toad, based off the character from Star Fox, the famous Nintendo franchise.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
And today we're joined by two guest hosts from the Diamond Dogs band I play with. Daniel.
Sorry.
Diamond Dogs dismount. I'm just kidding. Diamond Dogs mount up. We're mounting up right now. Daniel, Joe, do you guys want to introduce yourself? Daniel, you go first.
Yes, I'm Daniel, one third of the Diamond Dogs, or one half. I don't know the divisions of that. Bad at math, but yeah, I'm the drummer. I play drums in the band. We're stationed in Brooklyn for now, and yeah, that's me.
And Joe?
Yeah, I'm the bassist. I'm not good at math either, but yeah, I know how to find where to play in between. So I guess I'm good at math. At least Daniel's math, and that's all that matters.
He's an English teacher, guys. So.
That's all that matters. He's good with words. And yeah, so we're going to talk about Slippy Toad by Bhloom today. Bhloom, you want to kick us off? Give us a nice introduction.
Yeah. So I've actually played the main riff from the song. I'm not going to play it fully. I'll play it just a little bit, but it goes like... It's that one. It's on different episodes. I've already
play the full thing. Play the full thing.
Can I do two intros then, or
do two intros? Do two intros because this is impressive. I can't play the shit.
I've never heard it before. Yeah.
All right, I'll play the main riff that the song starts on, and it's the main. So it's that might be a little sloppy at it, but. So that's the main riff of the song, and
there's more.
Yeah.
And then you just keep playing.
Is your guitar not on fire right now? Is it not smoking it?
Oh yeah,
Jesus Christ.
No speeding it up when you put it on TikTok. No one like, oh, you sped it up. It's bullshit. Because he did that once where he sped it up just like a hair, and then I was like, no, I can actually play it. I can actually.
all it takes for that comment section to blow up.
In my defense, right, I'm trying to create a story, and we say really great things, but we just say them slowly. So I just sped everything up by 20%, probably 30% if I'm really being honest.
Content. It's okay.
And no one commented at all. It just it was like, I'm feeling weird about this.
Yeah, in my head.
Justifiably, I understand.
Well, and actually now I've been actually recording this. I've had the riff down. I've had the riff written for a while. That one riff. And I'd had it recorded too. And that was that thing where it's like, because it's a really fast song too, I was like, oh, I got this song. And then I was like, it's 15 seconds long. It's like in 200 BPM or 210 BPM. So I was like, oh crap, I got to write a whole 2 minutes. How do I do this? Where do I take it? But I just had a burst of inspiration 2-3 weeks ago. I just started on a Friday night. I was like, I'm going to just get to recording this song, just kind of guitar riff on it. And then riff after riff, it came together, and then I finished writing it, and so I just sent it to master. To shout out to Ravi Ray Audio. Haley, my wife, had introduced me to him. He's a mastering and mixing engineer based out of Houston. So tag him in here. Great guy, really nice. Just started his audio business. He just mastered it, got it back to me today. I listened to it. Super stoked to put it out. So hopefully by the time this episode is out, it might be out. If not, it should be very close. I'm looking to do it release early March. So that's when my birthday is. My birthday gift to me is to see my song out there. And
see your own success.
Yeah, that's literally my gift. Is I'm like, I just want this out there. That's the main riff from it. I didn't want to play it again because I was like, I feel like I'm juicing that one riff. I've done 2 videos on this podcast of it, but I'm It's a fun riff to play, and
If there's any riff to juice, that's the one to juice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give us the other juice. Maybe there's another riff to juice. He might be
Well, yeah.
surprised.
So I'm actually the intro that I had prepared today. So today, this one's gonna be a little hard because what I'm using a whammy pedal in it, like a Digitech whammy for an octave, like a dive bomb kind of thing. But when I recorded it, I drew the automation in for that. So I haven't actually played it with the whammy pedal before until 2 minutes ago. So I'll try it. But this is there's a breakdown in the song where I just have like a gun cock, like and then it goes, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. But so it goes. Yeah, something like that. It's
you can also cut it in later.
Yeah, and just one squeal.
Just cut it once.
Funny enough, the part that I thought I would struggle with the most. I don't know if we want to dissect the riff now or do the toast and then go into it.
Let's do a toast. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do the toast.
All right. So we're about to get into Slippy Toad by Bhloom here in a minute. But before we do that, let's take a word from the people that we're going to toast. Does everyone have an idea who they're going to toast?
Second person, right?
Second person. Person number 2. Eddie Van Halen has been a favorite on this show, so that's always a good call. But, I'm not going to dictate who you do or do not have to toast. So 3, 2, 1. A toast to the lords and ladies of music. Please be kind to us as we drink and guide us on our musical journey. I would like to toast Izzy Stradlin from Guns N' Roses because he also has just cool other projects. I was listening to Izzy Stradlin, the Juju Hounds. I think it was the first or second record, whichever one. He does like Pressure Drop on it, which is just a really fun kind of ska punkish cover of a reggae song. And I think I just really respect his playing and who he is. I don't know who he is as a person, but I just respect his playing, and his songwriting has always been great. Bhloom, who would you like to toast?
So I know in our last episode I toasted the vocalist of Lamb of God, but there's a reason for that. And then so this one's kind of a multiple shout out, but the 3 bands I'd like to toast are System of a Down, Meshuggah, and Lamb of God, because this song that I'm showing today was my kind of like, I had to pick 3 bands that I just feel like I wanted to culminate into one band and one song if they wrote it. Those are the 3 where it started as like System of a Down, and then I was like, this sounds kind of like Lamb of God, and I was like, let's throw Meshuggah in there. So all 3 of those bands, wonderful bands, helped me write this song and stay motivated. So that's 10 people.
Daniel, who would you like to toast?
I'd like to toast Daru Jones, who is the drummer for Jack White's band. Who has the most unique drum kit setup. All of his toms are facing away towards the audience. I'll send you pictures of it. It's kind of crazy. He's from Brooklyn as well, so shout out to Daru Jones.
Nice.
Is that the Rack Tours? Oh, sorry.
No, that's Patrick Keeler. Daru Jones is the guy. He's a black dude. He went on tour with Jack White. He's his touring drummer for his solo stuff.
Okay, cool. Sorry for interrupting. I didn't mean.
It's a good question.
I feel like I've seen live videos of like the more recent stuff, and I haven't noticed that. So I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
I'll send it. Yeah.
And Joe, who would you like to toast today?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with another New York artist. Their name's Jiraiya. I listened to their album. It is pure maximalism. Typically, I'm a minimalist guy. I try to be minimalist in my life. If you ask my girlfriend, I'm definitely not minimalist with my instruments. But I listened to this album once and I was like, I don't get it. And then I follow him on Twitter. I like his content. I like his vibe. And I listened to it again. I was like, oh, that's what you can do when you just go all out. And I was like, yeah, I think I want to go more all out. Yeah, so it's Jiraiya.
And to all our toasts, thank you for your inspiration, and thank you for alcohol or non-alcohol. Thank you for
coffee.
Coffee too.
All right, let's get into it.
I need coffee to play this riff. I actually thought about that, where I was like, if I gotta play it at full speed, alcohol might make me A little sloppy there. I was like, no, I need to make it feel like I'm playing slow and gotta get the
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'll break down the recording and show a little bit. Like, I think since the song is not out yet, I can maybe play through it just so you guys can hear it. Maybe you have questions for that. But I think what I was talking about with the riff or the guitar. So I don't know, Kane, if you wanted to try playing that riff, the little breakdown, but it's yeah. You got
Nailed it.
You just copy and paste that. Yeah. And funny
Basically
enough,
the same.
and you pretty much got where all the riffs or where all the chords are, or all the like frets are. So like really the only like the distinct notes that are played are. But this song actually what helped me. Yeah, it's a 013. Just it's very System of a Down.
I instantly.
And what actually got me through recording the song and getting more inspiration was one, listening to not bands that I hadn't heard before, but just like not going in with the like same expectation of what I had originally. So when I started writing this, I was going into like, you know what, I really want to write something that feels like the like last couple albums of System of a Down, like Hypnotized, Mesmerized, that kind of thing. And I think I was a little bit confining myself in terms of like trying to achieve a sound that I was like limiting to like, this doesn't sound like that. And then I kind of brought in, you know, like all these other bands that I thought, and then I was like, well, this sounds kind of like none of them but all of them, and that's exactly what I want to go for. Is just, this is me, this is my sound. And one of the other things that helps, if you're a guitarist or even bass, I'm sure one thing that can really get you out of a musical rut is changing up the tuning of your guitar. And that's something that's done a lot in the past. So this is in, this originally was in drop D flat, so E flat standard, and then you drop the last, the low string to B flat, so it's a power chord. But then what I play a lot in open tunings too, and I recently haven't been doing that as much. But there's a tuning called DADGAD, DADGAD. But so this is that, but just all one half step down. So the D flat version of that. And that actually, ironically enough, I mean, not ironically, but I guess I don't see that used as much in metal. And like a lot of the things about this song are not necessarily standard to metal. I'm playing on a Gibson SG with P90 pickups, which that was very much System of a Down influence. That's something Darren Malakian did. He gives this very they're single coil pickups, so they have a lot of huss. I was gonna say hum and hiss, and then huss came out. They have a lot of hiss to it. So if I take the noise gate off, you'll hear it's just, you know, there's a lot of
beautiful.
Yeah. And so they're much more like gritty. They're not like that low meaty sound of but that's what I like about it. Is it's I think I saw Darren Malakian explain on like a System of a Down interview, is like they're very wild sounding. Like they take a lot more control in the picking. I can't just go and then, you know, expect it to just sound like to cut through. You gotta like really like your muting and stuff matter a lot more. And then that's kind of not very metal standard to metal per se, traditionally. And then that mixed with this open tuning, usually with metal is more focused on the low notes, and then the high notes are for soloing and stuff like that, or different chord shapes. But when I did this tuning, what I love is that it's just a power chord. It's just the same notes over. So to me, more than
it's like a D sus4, right?
No, I mean I don't know. I just think of it as one big power.
I looked it up, Teach.
Okay, you're good then. I don't know. I just know.
It was bothering me because I couldn't like play it with a slide. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, I just know that you could put your finger down. I don't know why I chose the middle finger. Put your finger down. Fuck you, Kane. Theory. You can do things where it just the octaves are just quick. So like when I go, where usually to get that high octave, you'd have to go, or, but I can just do. So what that kind of, honestly, when I just was getting into the place where I was like, I don't know what note to play or where to take it, you just go to. So you can just keep going to that, and it's the root note. So you kind of just always have this root note. So whereas you usually would go, metal is always galloping on the, and it goes back to low. I feel like I'm actually going to the high in many ways because I'm like, or like, that's not a riff from it, but I kind of like that. I don't know, my next song.
What better way to do a song kind of inspired by video games than like essentially use a cheat code when you're playing? Just always have that. Just always
exactly that, yeah.
And you can, and what's cool about this, tuning is like, if you like the note on one string, it'll work on the other string. So it's like you can go, like say like the same hammer on, you could do it on the.
Wait, do that again. Where are you?
0, 7, 8. So you could just go. Whereas like that wouldn't work in standard tuning that well because it would, it might not fall in the scale. And you could. So you could just literally just go down the.
I got a new song for you. I got a new song for you. There we go. Just 0, 7, 8.
That's actually one of another.
Wait. I gotta perfect it. There we go. Just gotta get the high.
Beautiful. All right, send me a clip of that, and it's in the next song. It's that actually, funny enough, really helped me get through that, and really helped me open kind of how I was seeing it, because I'm not, for as far as metal goes, I'm soloing is my weak spot. Like I'm not, like I can maybe write a solo if I really take some time to do it, and it's like, but to me, I think in riffs, and I think in I like to say
I find that I have to stop you. I find that so weird because you had so many interesting and cool leads when you did Two-Face that it's always funny when you say soloing isn't my strong suit, but then you create these really cool leads. So like I always think you have the ability to do it.
But that's the thing, is that those are solos, but they're really like leads are still pretty different than solos to me somehow. Or like if you tell me to improvise a solo, I'm kind of like, I can do it, and but like to me, even like riffs like in like in Two-Face and that kind of stuff, like where I was doing more like high lead stuff, like the I can't actually play it in this.
I'm all fucking. I was like, wait.
I was like, I can't actually.
I'm just focusing on like my A, D, and G string because those are going to be the same, but everything else is fucked.
But and that's the thing is, so like I write leads and stuff a lot, but it's not like I don't know. Even then, I still, maybe they come out as leads, but I still think of it as writing riffs. And I don't know if that's, and when you're doing drumming, I don't know if you feel this way, but sometimes I feel like I think like a drummer, because that's something I've always been interested in, rhythmic stuff. But like to me, when like a drum thing, or like a drum, when there's a verse and there's just like a beat, you might have fills and stuff, but you wouldn't call it a drum solo. But when you're doing like kind of more abstract stuff, and you're focusing on the tech, like the.
I think there is a power. I was going to ask you too, because I relate to what you just said, and I think a lot of musicians fall into one or two brackets, which is like the soloists who can play they play what they feel, and then there's people who feel more comfortable having a structured course throughout the song. As a drummer, I personally like to know what I'm playing each time, but I've worked with producers who's like, no, come up with something right now. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I already decided what I'm going to do already. Don't make me change that. But it's also just like, another way to approach music. But I feel like a lot of people fall in two different ways. There's people who are just very logical and map out their course. And then there's other people who are like, we'll figure it out when we get there.
And that's
some people can do both, and I mean, it is what it is. But some people just work differently.
and I feel like I've always felt kind of somewhere in between where I really like improvising and jamming. Like I love jamming with people. I know
Yeah,
people who they're not that way. They're like, no, I need to like write. And so like to me, a lot of my best ideas come when I'm working with other people, which
same. Yeah.
sadly is not as much anymore with the pandemic and stuff. But like when you're working with someone in a room, or they've just like a drummer plays a beat, and then you're like, no, keep doing that, and then you're like, wait,
Right.
I got this. Or bass player plays
Yeah.
something, and then you're just like, keep that bass. I actually really like when songs have the main thing is a bass guitar, like Tame Impala, like how they just have that dun, 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 and then the guitars are kind of just like around that. I love stuff like
Right.
that, and like when like that's a song you could just keep looping, and
A lot of funk music does that.
yeah, and
too,
and I
yeah.
and so I feel like I've always been, I've always liked improvising in that sense. It's just I don't really find it as much of like, to me, I'm still trying to find like what's a riff I could repeat, like even if it's a lead,
Mhm.
what's something I could
Yeah.
repeat, and something that I want to get like is like a theme or something that I bring back to, or it's like a it's something someone will hum or something like that, or and I think that repeatability is the factor that kind of makes me think about a lead traditionally in solos versus like a riff. And in this song, I mean, it's kind of what's nice with tunings like this is you kind of can cover sonically or musically like the wider frequency range of like, I don't know, when you think of rhythms and then leads traditionally, you're usually thinking of like leads are doing high pitch stuff and then rhythms are doing low pitch stuff. But like when you have tunings like this, when you're doing a riff that's like, I mean, that the low notes are doing some really low stuff, like, but then immediately it's going to crazy 2 octave higher. So then you could do, your guitar covers a lot more range, and it's almost like you're in a way doing something that might in a different tuning require 2 guitars to do it, and especially when you think of playing live, it's like, oh, as one guitarist I could play this song.
It seems like the definition of working smart versus working hard. Seems like an efficient way to get what you need out of your music and your instrument.
Yeah, and oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say, I know you're gonna get into it, but like I just want to put this out there to circle back to it later. But how do you like? I always feel like because of the range that you're using on your guitar, I want to eventually talk. How do you end up like incorporating that into your mix and how the sound goes and try to balance that? So I'll
That's
get into
something I
that.
really want to get into because that's something that I'm very proud of the guitars with this song, but the mixing and how it came together is something I'm really proud of because ironically, it's the least work I've done on a mix. And that's a topic.
Is it just because of all your templates? Is it just
No,
your template work?
No, it's not that. That's the funny part. Is it's the most stripped down, like it's the most. It's because of the choice of like your choice of instruments and stuff like that. So that's something another I'll talk about it in a little bit later, but like that's why I find that like the guitar I'm using, I wouldn't use any of my other guitars for this. Like to me, this song, like if I were to play this live or something, I would not want to play this without an SG with P90s. Like I don't even want to play this without a SG without P90s. Like I don't want to have humbuckers in it. It's like no. I want the P90s because it gives this like this growl that I just like, that I didn't feel like I needed to mix super like I liked what I heard when I just played into an amp, and I was like, I don't want to alter that. Like it was this thing where I was just like, keep this, just translate.
What you set it and forget it. Like we found Nirvana. Real quick, I want to ask Joe because I think it was interesting when we were talking about like you get to a session or you get somewhere and that having a mapped course versus just improvise. Joe, like how do you prefer like going into session or just learning a song or playing stuff? Like, are you more of the I'd like to know where we're going or I'll figure it out on the way?
Sure. No, I'm with Prabhu. I think it sounds like he's a little more put together than me. and I mean that in a compliment. Like I kind of like wandering to figure out where you go, but at the same time, like it's nice knowing, I guess, where like the endpoint or the destination is ultimately. But I enjoy like finagling my way there.
It's like
but
That's important. I mean, and
Yeah.
the reason I think, I mean, this song is only me, so there's a lot more room to do that. So like a lot of it is finagling and wandering around and being and just sitting with the metronome and just being like what works and just keep to me my writing and recording process is synonymous, so it's like what I'm trying to do a lot more now is not perfect as I go, but just get all the ideas out and then take away things. I'm like, no, this doesn't work, take this away, re-record this and just record it. So like that part where if I did the like I might record it where I'm just recording it kind of sloppier, but I'm like, I know what I'm trying to go for, and I know and then maybe the end of the riff the like doesn't work, and so I think the recording part helps. Not, it's still wandering and finagling it, but it's just more like an easier way I find to organize my thoughts.
I totally agree, because you don't have to worry about remembering it in the long run.
Yeah.
You'll hear it and you'll know that you liked it because you felt it right then. So when you come back and you listen to it, you're like, I know how to do that because I love that. And it just pops right back in.
And it's a big paranoia of mine because unless I record something, like even with this song, I had it was working on it till like 1 a.m. and I was like, I should go to bed and do this tomorrow. And I was like, no, I'm gonna forget this riff. I'm gonna wake up and forget how to do it. It's like either I take a video of myself doing it and have some verbal notes or something, or I do it now. And there's a quote I heard recently. It was like "strike when the iron's hot" or something like that. I've not recently. I've told King this multiple, but like that quote's really resonated with me. Where I'm like, no, if it's there and the inspiration's there, just get it out, because that idea might be something that really takes you from looking at your song as like, that's cool, to like, yeah, hear this riff, dude. Like this is and that thing of like recording. Sometimes I'll get to a part where I want to record that part, but I'll come back, even if it's like I'll go and eat dinner and I'll come back and then I'm like, because this is also pretty rhythmic, it'll be hard where I'm like so that part I didn't realize when I was playing along and practicing the song, that part where it goes so it goes that's how it goes so it's like it's that part's a triplet, and I didn't know when the triplet starts. So I realized I was playing it wrong back when I was like practicing along to it. But like things like that, where if I recorded one of the parts and then I came back to it, I might just completely not remember how to play it, because it's like remembering like Morse code or something. It's like
that's interesting.
Super interesting.
So yeah, even the rhythm is what I'll do sometimes if I don't get to writing the drums or guitar, is like even if you just have a kick drum doing the like and you're just like, okay, that part, and then I remember there's some notes there, and I just throw in the somewhere and you'll get the riff. But yeah, just somehow to, especially when there's like a little more technical stuff, I find that's not, I don't know, it's not like a melody where you're like you can sing it back to yourself. It's not like in my head I'm like I'm not like singing it in my head. I just so yeah, no, I totally feel you on that. Like it's important to just noodle around, because then you're getting it all out there.
Well, do you want to show us your track with all the noodling?
Sure. Yeah. And I have it open here. Let me share my screen and see that.
What I find funny that you said earlier is that like you could only see yourself playing like an SG with like P90s for it, because honestly, one thing I there's a couple songs maybe, but I hate having that feeling of like I can only do this song on this instrument, and I haven't written anything like that. But it's gonna be interesting if I ever end up there. Like, I don't know, Daniel, is there like anything that you're like, oh, I have to have this kit, or this it has to be 12-inch hi-hats, or 14-inch giant.
I'm really not that particular, especially when you play shows in New York. You got to show up for whatever fucking kid is gonna be there. So you really just can't be as picky as you may want to. But
Yeah.
I've seen that in guitarists that I admire, like John Frusciante seems to be playing the same guitar for the past 50 years. You know what I mean? It's beat up, it's worn out on the edges, and it seems like a guitarist's unique quality. So it's interesting to hear you say that you don't ever want to fall into that, or you haven't. But
Yeah.
it seems to happen, I guess. I don't know enough, but I get it. Some have different tones and qualities. As far as drums are concerned, as long as the bass drum doesn't run away from me, I'm fine.
And it's left-handed.
And it's left-handed.
Well, yeah. So most kicks I'm not comfortable with, actually. I have to switch it all around. But yeah, I'm just happy to sit down.
And Joe, for you, like, do you have that thing? I mean, do you have like everything has to be this one bass? I mean, I know you have this thing now where it's like basses only need what, tone knobs? They don't need volume
They
knobs.
only need, no. Volume's not a thing anymore. Everything's 10. No, my go-to, like, it has to be punchy, like a P bass. If I hear anything tonally remote to a jazz bass or like a humbucker, I'm like, is there bass on the track? Like I don't know, like P is for punch. Like, yeah, it's for precision, but it's for punch. Like, get in there, and then you tone it out from there. But I need to have like that punchiness with my bass playing.
I like that. P is for punch. I need to. I've actually been thinking about getting a P bass. I won't tell you what bass I recorded this with.
I gotta guess.
But it better have that punch, as long as you EQ it with the punch.
Yeah, I mean that's actually the only thing I spent time on mixing was the bass for this. So that because of the past, that's just the thing I find that
You could say it, past failures.
past just challenges, and the other thing is when you got to translate it into different things. Like you take it into the car, and then you're just like, oh, whoa, like this is, whoa, where did that bass come from? And then you're just like, oh, because on my AirPods or something like that, you don't hear that. Or
what are car mixes?
What do you mean?
What? Because wait, Daniel, do you have a car? I think Joe has a car.
Joe has a car.
Oh.
I still do car mixes.
I haven't done
a car.
Oh shit! I'm gonna have Joe pick me up now whenever I have to do a mix.
What's a mix?
Yeah, I forgot you're on New York. I forgot.
I miss car mixes. I miss doing car mixes because.
Did you guys ever watch this? I think it's on YouTube. Jack White, in his super analog ways, would record and then have a walkie-talkie with his producer. Then he'd have his other walkie-talkie in the car so that he can play it over the walkie-talkie to his producer and make adjustments in real time so he wouldn't have to, God forbid, take the mix to the car.
Well,
you had the walkie-talkie to save this because he's Jack White, basically, but it was crazy.
There's honestly,
I was actually inspired by that. And when I do car mixes, I ask someone to stand across the street and translate it to semaphore. And I just sit in my car and listen to it in semaphore. They're just like waving flags to express what the song is.
More bait. You got sign language and stuff.
We're going to have to do a series called Car Mixes with Joe. And we're going to have Joe pick us up.
They're going to be insane.
It's dope.
I feel like that Jerry Seinfeld show where it's the comedians in cars.
Yeah.
It's gonna be you.
Musicians in cars.
Yeah.
Mixes.
Yeah. Motor City Mixes.
Oh damn! We got to move to Detroit now.
Yeah.
Motor City Mixes.
But that's actually a you were talking about the walkie-talkie. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous because it's Jack White. But there is merit to doing mixes or checking your mixes on a bad quote unquote system. Like AirPods aren't bad, but that's how most people are going to listen to music, or your speakers. I do a lot of hip hop stuff too, and like with that, I was Again, I think this was with 40, Drake's producer. I went into a kick where I was like,
you had a Drake phase. We all have a Drake phase.
no, not even a Drake phase. It was a 40 phase. Like I just watched a lot of videos of him, but I don't even listen to like a ton of Drake. But the
Has he produced anybody else?
I don't know.
Or is this like claim to fame Drake? Okay.
I think Drake was his like Drake's like
personal guy.
Drake and him, yeah, brought him up. And but one of the things I'm talking about is you know, when like mixing the like how, you know, when you're in like an Uber and you're coming from the bars or something like that, and like the kicks, you know, every Uber driver has some music on after like on a Friday night or something, and it's pretty low, but all you hear is just a kind of like you'll hear trap drums or something, and you'll be like, oh, this is probably a Drake song or something like that. Like the kick somehow, even it's super quiet, that kick, snare, hi-hat, like, and the like you'll pick it up to know.
Yeah.
And just how that mix, like he cuts this kick and snare through the mix really high, because it's just like, you know, if someone's turning it down and they want to know it's a Drake song, you could hear it in like something like that. And I was like, that's really
right.
So yeah, I don't know that necessarily for metal what the thing is. With metal, it's more balancing the guitars, and that's why this guitar, I felt like I'll just play it and then you can hear the mix.
Doom Forever out now.
Woo!
Yo, that was dope.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that part. So the
Wait, real quick. So, like, what's the muted track?
Why you gotta bring up the muted track? It's my original.
Is that horns? Oh, that's
it's my original.
It's all right. I was just kidding.
I recorded the bass, and then it's actually the same.
You don't have to show it. I was curious what it was.
It's the same recording. I just duplicated the track because originally I had just done I was trying to keep it very minimal for guitar and drums and everything, and then I tried to do the same with the bass, but I was like, this bass doesn't sit well, so I just duplicated it. I do for the bass tracks, what I do is So, can you guess what bass it is? Is it a P bass or a jazz bass?
It's definitely a 1967.
That's the bass.
Sounds gnarly.
I mean, that's a jazz bass. Just
Yeah.
quiz. $5 your way into Franklin. So what I do is actually I just do a DI track and then an amp track. So there's like one track that's just
Oh, interesting. You keep your DI in?
yeah.
I always just I do DI bass, but I'll always reamp it, and I never keep the DI. That's interesting.
What I did. I usually do the DI and amp, but when I was doing it, I was like, maybe I'll just not do that. And then I was like, no, that's the what I always do. So the bass is pretty quiet there. I actually put the DI pretty low. Effects wise, all I'm doing is a limiter and then a compressor on it. And then for the amp track, I'm using this plugin called Dark Glass Ultra. As a bass player, I think you should check this.
That's a dream pedal to get.
My neural
amp and everything.
I've actually, I think in our favorite plugins episode, this is the one of them that I had. This is just my like standard. Any bass track is gonna go through this for me. I don't know. It sounds beefy. But it has this edge that I love. It's let's see if I keep just this one.
You're cutting out as you're speaking, because the bass is too strong. The bass is
strong bass.
I just
strong bass.
The DI, when I added it back in, you can tell it doesn't really like change the tone too much. I wanted it to be more distorted. It adds a little bit of clarity to like the note definition, which I think is important. You don't want to overdo the bass, and actually bass has a huge role in metal, and not because you want it to be super boomy. It's just that a lot of people will add a lot of bass to the guitar, and that's not, you want to especially what I like about this is a relatively higher tuning for newer.
So are we gonna just talk about Injustice for All? How there's like no bass?
No, yeah, I mean, and you know what's funny is that like I didn't know that growing up. I just was like, that's their.
It just sounds great.
I've heard it with bass, and then I think it's the problem is that you're working backwards from being like, I know the song and now it sounds different. I probably would have liked it more with bass had that been
originally, yeah.
But then when I hear it back and I'm like, what's that bass guitar doing during the like what is it doing in one? Why is there bass guitar? There should be no bass guitar in that. Yeah. But yeah, I add the DI just to make it a little bit to cut through a little bit more, and then what I do is just make sure the bass and the guitar don't clash too much. Just keep it like what I like about drop D flat and D. When you start getting to like drop C, that's when you're getting into like low register guitar, and I usually played with that. I mean, I have a 7-string guitar. I drop it to drop E or something sometimes, and then I drop it to A. But what I like about this tuning is it's like still fast and punchy. It's still like a tight sounding. And with the P90s too, it's very high end. So I don't actually mix high end as much in it. I actually roll trebles off because otherwise it's gonna be too bright. But what's nice is that the bass just sits frequency wise a little better, so they're not competing like this. The guitar is not like very bassy, and that's important for the metal mixing, I think, in this kind of song. So like if you see Lamb of God, that was another inspiration for this song. I think I mentioned in the toast, they play in drop D. They're not playing in anything low. They play in like standard and drop D. Like and to me they hit so hard. They're super heavy. They don't play in like, I don't know, super crazy.
Do you think like Metallica is like heavy still, or because I still think Metallica still sounds relatively heavy, and then you just realize that they're in E?
I mean, I think it depends on which Metallica.
Okay, how about Slayer?
Slayer. Yeah, Slayer.
Only E flat.
I'm wearing
Only
my
E
Slayer
flat.
shirt for a reason. I'm wearing my Slayer shirt for a reason. Slayer, Angel of Death is. It's
But
in.
It's heavy as hell still.
Yeah, because it starts with just the most menacing thing, and the drums are just. So I think tuning can definitely add to heaviness. It can definitely, lower is usually heavier, but I don't know. There's something too about like there's different kinds of heavy. There's like doom metal heavy where it's like slow and sludgy. We were talking about like Queens of Stone Age, Caius.
Sometimes I don't even notice the heaviness of like what I think that's like regular John or something like that, but it's all like C sharp like tuning, but I don't notice it until like I actually go look up the song. It's like, oh shit, this song is heavy as fuck.
Yeah, that's where there's different kinds of heavy. I mean, Jack White. You're talking about Jack White. Jack White, Icky Thump, like the guitar and that, just
Yeah.
it just is meaty. It's ballsy. It's very
Oh, fuzzy.
Fuzzy, yeah. So fuzzy stuff usually it's a very different thing than like with this. It's like if you threw a fuzz on this, it would sound really. There'd be no clarity to it. So I always, this is a lot of the tone that I get for songs like this is actually like the gain is pretty low on the amp. It's more driven by the guitar, I feel. So like for this, it's and I'll get to the point about the mixing part, because if you see on my track 2 here at the bass, there's a little bit of EQ. There's a couple pieces of EQ that I'm doing, but nothing too crazy. Nothing that I'm doing. Like in the past, I would have these chains that were a lot more busy. If you look at the guitars, I have a guitar bus here. I really just have one mixing thing on here. It's just this EQ where I'm cutting. I did no boosts, nothing. Usually I'd have a lot of, as like a standard EQ kind of procedure I'd go through. I always kind of cut around this 4000 because there's this like sound that you want to get rid of. But other than that, I don't have anything. I like to keep my guitar, just keep all the frequencies with it in this song. Like I didn't want to shape it too much, because I was like, I'm sure you could get rid of more things, but like, I don't know. I was like, it felt good. And I was like, the guitar is really carrying the frequency because there's no vocals, there's no anything else. So why shape out a lot of things when, your guitar is really all you got. And so
do you think you got enough shape out of like just like the amp and cab sim that you already use? Because I see you cut the mid frequencies.
I didn't cut any mid here.
I'm saying the amp cap sim that you use.
The amp. So yeah, I'm using another neural DSP plugin. So I'm just recording my DI too. I'm just recording straight into my interface. I'm doing that all on here.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. I'm not even using the Aspects. I'm using it now when I'm playing, but I just find there's so much more control with that. And then also when you're recording, I like with DIs, so you can see here, you see a lot of the peaks more on DIs. When you record just a guitar track that goes through an amp, you'll see a little bit more of a block. But I love with the DIs because I'll do a lot of surgical edits to move and make sure things are on time. You can see the this is where the chord is struck. This is where the chord is struck. This is where this chord is struck. So I can see all those transients. I can also see how I'm performing. So sometimes when you play with an amp and you just see that, sometimes you feel like
everything gets masked way more.
Everything gets masked, and I always think that's why when I practice guitar, I don't usually go through an amp. I will just practice without an amp. Sometimes I'll even practice on an acoustic guitar. I'll just practice with nothing because I want it to sound loud without that, and make sure the playing is tight and the playing is good. And because the amp, even if you drive the amp a lot, that can mask your playing, where the amp's doing more of the work, where your arms and your fingers, like as cliche of a phrase it is, like it's in the fingers. I really do agree with that. It comes down to like the pick. I use this this is very non-metal too. I use a really flimsy pick. That's like usually people with metal, they play like really thick picks, and like to me the flimsy pick really works because when I play, it like bends and it like I have to fight it. So that's why it forces me to pick a lot harder. Where if I even just use this other pick, versus like, I think that sounds different. I don't know.
It also brightens it up a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
And like the pick just like, I don't know, maybe I just played it different. It's maybe it's a little more subtle, but I feel like there's something to be said about that. So like when I'm playing this, like there's a squeal in here that just sounds a very I'll get to the I called this section Slayer Thrash. Yeah.
That's awesome that you named the section.
Yeah, that one. That squeal to me, I find that like with the pick and the like with the just the way that the guitar is, the P90s, the pick, and like I've got to like really dig into it. So it sounds more like, I think it sounds kind of like something screaming or something. Like it doesn't just sound like a controlled harmonic. It just sounds like a horror scream or something. And to me, that's way more interesting and menacing and harder to control, which I like. I like that it's just like bombastic, but like the picking matters. Like I could play it like, or I could play it like, and then it's like, oh, that just hits harder versus like if I don't pick hard, there's not much gain on it. So to me with the guitars, I mean I kept it very mid-heavy, rolled the trebles back a little bit. Nothing crazy going on. There's no pedals here, and then I'm just using this Get Good drums.
No tube screamer, man?
No, nothing. That's why, and that's what I all my traditional stuff, this would be, you know, have a tube screamer, noise gate, all this stuff. None of it. I just went with this, and then I was like, fuck it, sounds good. I'm not gonna mix it. It's done. Don't even think about it. Just keep going. And to me, it was very refreshing. I'm gonna use this as a template now. But I don't know. It was just very refreshing to find that, like, you know, how much you can get out of like the guitar, because like even here when you have a massive sounding guitar, but then this part over here, it's kind of like jazzy hiatus coyote prog bridge Phrygian dreaming chorus. That I don't know.
Wait, by Curtis. Curtis on the kit.
Yeah, like Curtis on the kit is a great that's the handle that he needs to his Instagram to be. But this that part, what I actually do there is just then that kind of reinforces the playing, but this part is just. I
mean, those open chords are just like really smart. Like I like the structure that you're using because it's smart, because it gives it that wall that it needs. And I know I don't always think about that. I'm just like, I just want, a lot of times I'm just thinking like, I think too much like in live scenarios. Like there's one guitar, there's two guitars, there's a bass, there's a drums. I'm good, but like you got to take that approach when you record. Sometimes it's like, no, create more of that wall and that wash in there.
And and that's the thing too, is that like that kind of, I didn't even run it through a different amp or anything like that. All I did was I lowered the volume of it, so it's nice. Really playing. It's much lower than the other guitars, so it's not like competing. It's like mixing first by doing the levels, not shaping the sound. And then this part, so like that part, I mean, it's the same guitar.
I'm so sorry, P. Where did you like? Is that something that you did new in this, mixing on levels as opposed to just like odd, like the frequency, or is that something that you've done for a while?
No, I mean, I think, well, the thing I've been doing different with this than before is, first, It's been a recent, like in the last year or so, I've been pushing myself to try and finish a song first, then mix, then master, go through the thing versus like have a song, mix it as I go along, do it, mix it, and do like basic stuff with it. Like now I'm trying to do just basic stuff with it, but the volume stuff, I mean, that's in some ways, I guess it's pretty new. That's maybe the song is the first one I truly just stuck to that because I really I didn't even have the intention to go in and change it much. Like as I was recording it, I was just like, sounds good. This is it. Like I knew that like all I need to do is really get through tracking. I don't need to do a lot of mixing because I felt kind of like, I like listening to this. I like it, and I don't want to change this feeling. So I think I went in really just thinking about levels in that sense of not trying to shape the tone, but just trying to see what's competing with each other. And a lot of I think that's in many ways more traditionally how people would mix on like a mixer board in a studio and stuff too. I mean, like sometimes doing levels on a DAW without physical hardware, sometimes you can forget to do that as much because I don't know, like in a traditional studio, you would be there and be like, oh, turn this down, then you'll like, versus like sometimes I forget about the mixer view here. I mean, most of my things are on 0. But yeah, I mean, in terms of levels and stuff, just keeping it very simple in that sense of just like, I'm not trying. There's the mixing from the levels and the mixing from shaping the sound. Mixing can be just as creative as writing, because like, I mean, the guitar that I'm doing here, this I would say is like, I guess mixed, but it's more like creative, like.
I like the stylistic choices.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so this it's not necessarily
You're cutting.
There's a lot of stuff on it, but it's not necessarily like I'm doing this more to give it that effect that I wanted than to make it sit in the mix, if that makes sense. Like, because I didn't like creatively, I didn't want that to be the sound. It wasn't that like, oh, I need to do this so that it doesn't clash with whatever. It was more just like, no, I want it to sound like this big open thing and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, even the same guitar, just where you play on the guitar. So like even here. You know, I switched from going from like, you know, playing the chords here, like to doing like not really muting, but like almost going. Why I like SGs too? This is my SG like appreciation thread. The bridge is higher up. That's the thing I realize is so different with my other guitars. The bridge is like close up here, so like I can put my hand here, way behind the bridge, and do this almost like if I turn the guitar volume just a little bit down. Even on the same guitar tone, I can go from to turn the guitar a little bit down and play it over here, and then that's like, and it's like surf rock, and now it's like the same guitar tone, and I can go, and then, and all of that is really just in the guitar and not the effects. So I'm trying to find. I guess the best analogy is like if you're cooking and you have all these sauces, but your ingredients are trash, then like your dish might still be trash. It's like get better vegetables, get better meats, but get better all those stuff, and then the sauce.
It's all foundation, I think. Like in any like art you create is like your most important thing, and then you can build up. You have a shitty take or shitty
exactly
guitar take. If you're not strumming correctly, same thing with drums. If I don't hit the snare in the right place, no matter what the engineer does, it's gonna bother me when I hear it. Or if you take a bad photo, Photoshop's not gonna enhance it with saturation and you know noise reduction. It's all about like that the meat and potatoes.
And that's where the one thing that's the least natural part in this whole part is that I'm a very big stickler about the recording. So like, especially with a song like this, what I'll do, this is in 210 BPM, I'll record it at like 180. I'll record parts at 170. I'll record parts at some parts. I'm like, fuck it, this isn't 90 like that. But then some parts I would record it slow, and then I would be like, this doesn't like even 10 BPM. Like when I record in 200, I was like, this doesn't sound. I just can't do it. Or so I would just be like, all right, screw it. I've got to learn and practice this at full speed.
Is this you figuring out what tempo you want to like actually settle on? Is that the process?
No, I'll straight up record slow, speed it up. That's what I'm talking about. Where I'm like,
all right,
I'll put all my guns on the table.
He uses Easy Drummer on his guitar.
Yeah. So if you see these two parts right here, so if you see it says rate 1.65 or whatever, I recorded this at like maybe 190, but then this part is recorded at a slightly different tempo. Per the dog.
But are you adjusting the like tonality influence that'll have when you speed something up? Doesn't it get higher?
No.
So does it not?
So
the pitch is preserved.
Yeah, the recording software I use, Reaper. What I love about it is, so this is how you can do this in Logic and pretty much any DAW. Reaper is the one I learned, and like it's what's nice about it. So there's so many things that I just never. I thought this was standard for every DAW. Some DAWs you gotta like go and stretch the audio, and I hate it. And like to me, time stretching audio is one of my most important things in recording, because I learned with like, all right, I'm gonna record this as like, and then I'll learn it faster, and then I'll try to play it later. So this song I can play at full speed. And I wanted it to be where there weren't parts.
We believe you.
There were. But some songs. No, and to me, I'm like, there are parts in songs that I'll write where I'm like, that's impossible to play.
But God forbid I speed it up on social media.
Yeah, well, I don't want people I will be honest about it. I don't want people to be like, oh, look, I played this at 210 and then it's not actually at 210. Like I will be honest, when I record, I never record at speed.
There's one neckbeard in his mom's basement who's looking for that fight. Who's just like, I know that's not I know 210 when I hear it. That's not it. You'll show up in your comments and fucking start a whole thing. So yeah.
And that's where, to me, if I like writing parts that are unrealistic. We're in the age of computers. You can write what sounds good, and this is the one time you can make it sound perfect or make it sound realistic. This song, I wanted parts like this part was the hardest part to record, not because of how fat, it's the down picking, because that part I could record it at. I tried recording. I was like, I need to record at like half speed, and then I was like, I couldn't get the bit. Because you still want to be able to feel it. You still want. And when you record at half speed, you're like, no, this doesn't sound
right.
And then I was like, take it a couple BPM down, because like the real speed is just. And what's hard is the down picking when you're going. It's like Metallica. It was something you're talking about Metallica being heavy. That down picking, they're the down picking kings.
Yeah.
For last years, like they just like, to me, going like is way easier than like I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna get carpal tunnel.
Right.
My arm is gonna like break. So like that part, I had to do it like it's like times 1.050, so it's like literally 10 BPM or something. It's like 200 from 210. Yeah, no shame, dishonor.
No shame, no dishonor.
But
it sounds dope.
and that's the thing I wanted with the guitars. Like, yeah, a big thing to me was just recording and seeing it where I don't know. To me, this is kind of a experiment with like what I could do with the guitar, because like that part like that I played for the intro with the I take a gun cock sample, like a this part. I love adding sound effects too, so I add these sound.
Well, you're in Texas. You sure it wasn't a real gun? I'm just kidding. That wasn't.
I know. I just fired
I mean, to throw it out the garage. Huh?
like, yeah, these little signs. I mean, that would be
This one's by my
dope.
nightstand.
I mean, it's yeah.
That would be dope if to sample be the most
If the cowboy
Yeah,
boots fit.
So to me, like these sound effects make a lot of it because it like adds this little bit of flavor that just gives it some more cinematic.
What made you think of that? Did that just pop in your head? Like, how did that come out?
Honestly,
Where'd that come from?
different genres of music that I produce. So a lot of hip hop stuff, and then like
Gotcha.
so for a while I was not doing as much metal, and recently, so my goal for 2022 is like, dude, I just want to play metal for a while. Like I just like this is just where I'm like easy, and like this is where I just not easy, but like this is where I'm just in my like I can crank it out. I can. This is like when if you gave me a guitar and just didn't tell me what to play, or just I'm gonna go to play
straight to metal.
Yeah, and
it reminds me that do you familiar with 50 Cent?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Up-and-coming rapper from Queens.
I actually for a second wasn't sure if you were serious or not.
Yeah, I was, and then at the second, another voice man was like, "Are you serious?" But his first album, the track "Heat," is literally the snare is a gunshot, like the beat is. So it reminded me of that immediately. I was like, "It reminds me of Heat." Which is a crazy track.
I've been getting more into like cinematic writing, and like for a while I was like, you know what, I want to learn more about like video games and sound design, and it's like sound design is something I find really fun. I realized like I don't know if I want to do that as like a living or something, but it's like a nice thing to incorporate into your own stuff.
Yeah.
Especially because it just I don't know, if you take it out, it sounds cool, but like versus like.
I just feel like that's so much.
Yeah, and so to me, that kind of stuff like this really was just like a, I don't know. As I like got past the first hump of the song where it was like I had that writer's block, then it just all came to me, and then I was like, and when I changed that tuning, I just was like, all right, I'm just gonna. Sometimes another thing I'm trying to do is like not reserve ideas for something else. So I used to do this a lot where I'd be like, oh, this sounds good, but like if I use all these riffs in one thing, then I won't have enough to write another song. And I'm like, fuck that. Like you take forever to write a song. Why are you holding stuff back? You're just doing a little bit of nothing, and then you're writing half-baked songs. So, it's like put all your eggs in one basket and then go and try to find more eggs, because like if you're gonna do that, then you're gonna force yourself to write half-baked songs. Just I like in this song I was like, man, I just all these riffs I love, and I personally am like, oh, these are all bangers. And then now when I get to next song, I'm like, what do I do? And it's like, that's good. That's gonna force me to be a better musician than to be like, oh well, maybe for my next song it's like, what, you're gonna release the next year or something? No, just do it now.
So my question's kind of similar to what you asked me. Is this song part of like a collection of other songs, or is this? I mean, it sounds like you're going to be doing metal throughout this year, but is this just like you're trying to do each single metal song step by step?
So this isn't a collection. That's literally to this song, and that gets to the Slippy Toad part. So Slippy Toad, if you don't know, anyone who's listening, Star Fox is a series on Nintendo that's about like animals that fly planes and shoot things. It's awesome. That's what I grew up with in the 90s, Star Fox 64.
That's why there's a gun sound.
Yeah.
Animals shooting.
Well, I actually use that to kind of inspire what I'm
getting back at humans.
Yeah.
Bambi's coming after you.
It does inspire how I write to it. But yeah, this is part of a collection where literally each song, I'm writing a song called Fox McCloud, Slippy Toad, Peppy Hare, and Falco Lombardi, all the characters on Star Fox. And actually the first song I wrote in this was Fox McCloud, which was, I wrote that song 10 years ago, or I had it recorded. I had it on SoundCloud, all that stuff. And I decided I'm going to re-record it. And I was focusing on that first, because I was like, I already have a song. Let me just do the song I already have. And I got really tired. And that song's done. It's recorded. I did this song. I was like, I'm just going to throw it all I'm going to record it really fast in this template, because I really like this sound. Finally found the sound I want. And I have a guest solo on there from someone, and it's going to sound really good. But to me, I was like, I was holding myself back by saying I need to record that song first because it's a song that's the farthest along, and it's the song that I've already done, and I need to do that first. But when you play the same song for a long time, and you're just like, dude, screw this song. I want to.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for completion at this point. Like, I had to make a decision a couple weeks ago where I was like, man, I really want to write this song. I've been posting this riff on the distancing page, and I was like, screw it, finish this, put Slippy Toad out first.
Yeah.
Even if the other song is done, that'll get you the momentum. So now I'm like, there's a creative process, there's a creative energy I think that you can give yourself when you're stuck on the same thing. Just do something new. Do something completely new. Like, this is not new in terms of like a genre or something like that, but like I stepped away for doing as much metal recording for a little bit, started doing the sound design, all that stuff, came back to it. Now I have all these different tools that I feel like I wouldn't have learned if I just stayed with metal, and like, or if I'd just been trying to complete the same song. Now I have this energy that I'm like, yo, this song, now I can get, now the reference and the bass line for me is this song. So now Fox McCloud's got to be this level of quality and this level of everything. And with the collection, at least there's like a template now I can use. And another thing was holding me back was doing a four song EP where you're just like, well, I can't release one until I release all. And then I was like getting into that thing where I'm like, I'm just dreading doing it all. And then I was like, Kanem and I, we've talked about this a lot with like the single versus EP. And I was like, screw it. Once I severed that, then it was
wait. So you decided you originally wanted to do this as like a full complete EP.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you're like stepping back and saying, I'm going to do this single by single, basically.
This was gonna be literally in the order of the controllers that you can play. It's gonna be Fox McCloud, Falco Lombardi is player 2, player 3 is Slippy Toad, player 4 is Peppy Hair. And I was gonna release in that order. And then I was like, no, song 3, Fox. I'm gonna do song 3 first. And then I'm gonna just figure it out. And maybe Peppy Hair will never be a song for 3 years, but maybe.
But at least you got this one done. The break point was essentially you had this song that you wanted to write, and this was the one that you kept on having riffs for, and that's just essentially what put it in first place for you?
Not I had a song. I had 2 riffs. I had that riff that I had that and then the part that was the next part. So I had the first 30 seconds of a song that I was like, this is good. And I was like, I don't know where to take it. But I knew that I liked that first 30 seconds and the sound more. And also it was, you know how when you have something on your to-do list, but then you procrastinate by doing something else productive? That's kind of what this song was, where I was like, I need to write Fox McCloud. And I'd sit and then I'd open up Slippy Toad and I'm like, I'm going to write this one instead. So it was like productive procrastination where I just, fully embraced it. And I was like, all right, well, now I got a song out of it. And honestly, why am I holding myself to a standard where I'm not letting myself pivot? Because, I was feeling for a while like, no, but I need to write this song first. But I was like, this song is better right now, at least like off the bat. So lean into that, and then I can make the other song better. And it's not just about putting the song out and it's there. Now, at least when I release Fox McCloud, it can be the best version of that because I have, the sound I want. Like, now I feel a lot more relieved because I think the thing I was also struggling with for a while is nailing that sound that I really wanted. And like,
and now you have your template.
I have my template, and I've got my, my tuning, and I've got my,
So what, you can do all of them in DADGAD now? That's official?
Yeah, Peppy Hair originally, Peppy Hair is a like old Texas rabbit in the thing. So I was thinking of doing the 7-string to do like like some sort of like slower thing like that. No, I mean, DADGAD, it's funny. I played my 7-string the other day. I ran it through the same rig, and I was like, no, it's not the same.
That's funny.
It's not the same.
Did you do double low D flat or whatever?
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing too, is I mean, honestly, what I do for multiple songs is I'll record it in the same project. I'll just literally
really?
project instead of a template. Just do a little just do a little marker that says like start Fox McCloud, then record this here. You gotta like freeze some tracks, and I my computer is pretty nice, so it's doesn't crash on me. But think like just keeping that continuum, it helps the sound of the song to stay, or the songs to remain the same.
So I just wanted to know, like, if I guess, do you ever like do like, because I've started actually doing this, and I think it's because of this idea, is I'll do one track, right? And I'll sit down for one recording time. But or I'll essentially have two tracks in the same file, right? I'll sit down for one recording time, and then I'll do the one guitar for the first song like 10 times, and then the second song will be like a demo, and I'll do that like recording twice. That way, like in one session, I've gotten through focusing on one song and then just kind of bits of the second song just to satisfy myself.
I don't do that, but that might be useful.
Well, I got it from your idea of like just I think using templates and then sticking in the same song and starting the next one.
Yeah, and that's a good way to do it too. Is like I mean, I write, if I know I want to do 4 songs and I write a riff, but then I'm like, oh, this is not for Slippy, this is for Fox. I can just drag it somewhere else and then mute it, something. And that's where the songs, I want them to be a little bit more. I want them to evoke slightly different feelings, and that be like, I want them to all have a general sound, but like, especially being instrumental, I want to get the vocals on these and release it as a separate thing. Like, you know, maybe get a guest vocal. But the reason I called this one Slippy Toad and why I wrote to that is like the thing is very bombastic. The thing is very like that part with the. I wanted the song to feel chaotic and stressful, and because that's what the character is in the game. The character keeps getting you into these situations that you're gonna die, and like the character is a jinx, and the character I wanted to evoke that emotion, but then like the Fox McCloud thing is he's the leader, he's all that kind of stuff. So I'm trying to use those as like a way to evoke certain like use that in how I would write, but but still use the same tools for all the songs. So each song will still have the same guitar tone, probably same drum tone, same everything. But how I would write it, maybe the scales that I would use, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's based on what the song is, quote unquote, about, even though it's instrumental.
Yeah. Well, on that note, do you want to, is it Joe, Daniel? Do you guys have any other questions? I think we could probably play us out in a little bit, but I don't want to stop any questions you guys have or anything like that.
No, I'm assuming this is going to be on Spotify. When should we expect it?
Well, everywhere. Yeah, it'll be on all.
Or everywhere. Yeah.
All streaming. So, when should we expect it? Early March. I haven't submitted it to the like DistroKid and stuff. My birthday's on March 4th. I want it to be.
I'm gonna text you. I'll just text you.
Yeah, no, and it'll.
What's your birthday? Your year? Your social security number?
Yeah, no.
What's your password?
Well, yeah, my last name is Bhloom, and then my first name is Bhloom. But yeah, it'll be around the first week of March. I've got the song mastered as of today, so I'm excited. Yeah, it's more just the packaging of it, getting it submitted, and honestly, I'm not even working too hard on. This is more of a get it out and get the ball rolling on some metal stuff, because I've been I haven't recorded and put out a metal thing in a long time. Like all the stuff I have on Spotify is like more like hip hop and like synthwave kind of stuff. And I'm kind of excited to just have something on, like start releasing some metal stuff on there, and just like, I think getting it there, I don't even care as much of like doing a lot of release stuff beforehand. Just get it out and then spread the word and keep the ball rolling.
Yeah, I hear that. Sure.
Nice. Yeah, no questions from me. I do got to say though, I wanted to say it earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt you because you were on a roll with it. I think the way you write and record and mix is very intuitive and natural, and not something like that. That's something that speaks to me and makes sense to me, because I think I got too stuck in the rut of like the studio experience, where it's like you go in, okay, we do the drums, we do this, we do that, and like move in this specific order. And I found that when it comes to my personal stuff, I can't get anything out because I function similarly to you. Like as I record, if that doesn't sound good, I don't want to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to mix levels now and then mix tonally later. I just want it to sound good and then go to the next thing and make that sound good and then make it all sound good together. So yeah, hearing you do it and like bang it out and like you kind of like broke my like formed notions of recording in a very good way. So I appreciate it a lot and very inspiring.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so, do you want something that helped me with that? That's really try recording something, but not to write a good song. Try to write and record something that sounds really good. Like you could literally just record like, but try and do that for like 30, record a clip that's 30 seconds long, but and then just focus on getting the mix and stuff. And it sounds like 30 perfect seconds, and then trash the audio in that song and then use all the template for that. Because then you'll
smart. I like that.
I started doing that where I was like, because I'd be like, well, I'm mixing two different things. I'm trying to like write a good song, but then I'm also trying to make it sound good. That's two different people's jobs. It's like if I just write a really simple thing that I'm not worried about the creative part of like writing, and I'm just trying to mimic it or make something sound good, then I can just come back to it and then not think. But I'm glad. I really appreciate what you're sharing on that, and I'm glad it's just finding what works for you, I think. And
it reminded me of when we were talking about heaviness. There's like you have like tonal heaviness, which I think of those like deeper, lower register, like lower tuning songs, and then you have like melodic heaviness, which I think is like Queens of the Stone Age, where it's like, oh, that's weird, that doesn't sound right, but it sounds good, kind of thing. And then in the same way, like I think with mixing that you were speaking to, you have like functional mixing. Like, can I hear everything clearly? Does this sound like where I want it to sound? And then you have, does it sound like how I want it to sound in like a different shape or different form, like creative mixing?
I need to write
that makes sense.
on like my resume or something. Thank you.
You should.
I was like, well, I've never thought of it that way. I was like, function. This is why you're an English teacher. You're very good at the. I was like, you got the. That was beautiful. Thank you. I really appreciate it. That was the other thing I was like, when he said tonal heaviness, I was like, can we make a segment on the show for that where it's like your tonal heaviness, it's like a metal tip for the day or something. So I was like, I kind of like that, how it fits in with the tonal distancing.
You gotta keep it rolling. You've been doing like the picking techniques, and you've been like, showing different peaks of different things that you've been working on metal wise, and you just always use hashtag tonal heaviness.
That's actually an accountability thing too. I'm doing that when I'm doing Instagram videos. I was finding myself being like, I don't want to record an Instagram video. I'm in the middle of recording, and I'm like, why do that separately? Just use what you're recording as like an example to show something off, and then also put it in there. They're like, I'm releasing this thing, and you're like, are you? You are? Oh well, I gotta complete it now. I can't just tell people I'm releasing something and then under deliver. So that's partially why I've also been doing that, and it's helped.
So I don't have anything else. I mean, the one thing I will always say is like, probably you're always like my recording guru and like my guide. So I appreciate you sharing and from the things of like, I know you've come back on mixing on you as you go, but like just doing a little bit helps a lot, and that's the thing I've always taken from you. But yeah, anything else, guys? You want to do an outro riff, Bhloom?
Yeah, I mean, guess let's see. I did the breakdown. I know I did the, and that's what I like about this song is that there's a lot of riffs in there, so I have like something to show off. So I think one that I didn't do is, at the when it goes into the, I would say verse, like it's where I imagine cleaner vocals to come in, where it slows down from the heaviness. And I do this thing again in DADGAD. I like this chord a lot, and the whole song is kind of based around this. It's just 6, 7, 8. It's like a dissonant chord. I don't know what you call it. It sounds messed up and evil, and so I take that original riff where it goes, but then I just kind of change the pattern of it. So it goes. So it's
Damn.
yeah, and that's another thing with the, because it's in the drop tuning, you can just have that one finger hold down the fourth, and then these guys are climbing, and then that little thing with the DADGAD. It's like a twitch at this point. It's just like I gotta like let go of the guitar. It's like just do that. So yeah, that's the song. I'll have to do a full guitar playthrough video or something, post it on YouTube. And I don't know how to tab songs. I'd never done that before. I might have to pay someone to do it or something, but if I do that, I'll send that to you guys.
Thank you for tuning into Tonal Distancing. Thank you to our guests, Joe and Daniel. See you guys next time.